Genuine.
Not on purpose?
No, it was. Good morning. I'd like to welcome those in the chamber and as well as those online to the June 6, 2023 Weber County Board of Commissioners. It's 10 a.m. I'm Commissioner Gage Farrar. I'll be conducting this morning. With me to my left is Commissioner Sharon Bolos. To my right, Commissioner Jim Harvey. Appreciate those that took the time out to be with us this morning. We're going to start off this morning's meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance given by our own Stacy Skeen, invocation by Chris Crockett, and I'm looking forward to the thought of the day by Commissioner Jim Harvey. We'll go to that point.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads at the beginning of this commission meeting and offer up our hearts of gratitude to thank Thee for the many blessings that we have. We thank Thee for the honor to live in such a beautiful community among such amazing people. We are grateful for all of the opportunities that we have to engage with the public and to go about finding ways to improve the lives of those we serve. We ask that Thou will please bless us, that we will be able to be kind and sensitive to those we come across, to always be mindful of an opportunity to help. Please guide us to those that You would have us help most. We love Thee and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
You know, commissioners, today I woke up thinking about something that I was really grateful for, that often goes unnoticed, but it's used frequently. You know, I don't know what they did hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Likely they used their teeth. But as I sat there and have an appreciation for one of the trades that's used by the Ogden Weber Technical College, and by many, many others, there are places all across the United States, in every town. I got to thinking, what an unappreciated device we have in the fingernail clipper. As I looked at my own hands and I thought, you know, I need a set of fingernail clippers. That little device, whoever invented that, I think they should have a place in heaven, because I can't tell you how many mothers have said, don't bite your nails. And I can see why with a lot of people with their nails. But I just thought I'd just say a little something on the fingernail clipper today. I know that's peculiar and weird, but I'm a weird guy.
Yeah. No.
You know, it saves us time, fingernail clippers. And speaking of time, Will Rogers said this in trying to save time. He said, half our life is spent trying to find something to do with the time we have rushed through life trying to save. Everybody's rushing, trying to get things done. And my hope is that all of you think fondly of the time, that all the conveniences that we have, especially now, even little things like the fingernail clippers, hair clippers, shoes, everything that saves us time, roads, little things just save us time from what they had before. And I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it does to me. So that's my little thought of philosophy today.
Well, I appreciate that thought. The only thing that comes to mind, you know, fingernail clippers do save you time, but my problem is I always spend 3 hours looking for them because I never remember where they are. I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but All right, let's go. Thank you, Commissioner. Let's go to our next agenda item, which would be public comments. Anyone in the audience that would like to address the commission, now's your opportunity. We'd ask you to keep it to 3 minutes and address those items related to agenda. Anyone in the audience would like to speak, please come forward now. Anyone online, Stacy? Okay.
Pretty popular today.
Yeah.
Well, they do, is my thought.
I think you set them back with your thought.
Yeah,
They're speechless.
yeah.
Okay, our next agenda item, then seeing no one that'd like to come forward or questions or comments, let's go to a presentation. It's an opportunity we have on certain occasions to recognize people both within the county and outside the county that we've done before for what I would call outstanding service to the county and members of the public. Remember, we gave 3 awards here just a month or so ago to members of the public, business, a young lady, and an individual, a company, I should say. And today we are very pleased to recognize our own Gary Myers and the Weber County Engineering Department, and that would include everybody in that department. For those of us that have been involved with Weber County the last couple of 3 months, we realized that we had a record snowfall, and we understood that with that record snowfall that sooner or later it was going to turn into water and come down our drainages. And at that point in time, because of the significant, really probably 100-year storm or more, it was going to create problems, it was going to create issues for certain people. Well, I'll tell you, we depended on our engineers, we depended on our roads department. They all, what I would say, we call in hockey, stood on their head. They went beyond the call of duty to serve the public. What could have been a possible very bad scenario, based upon forecasts that we saw with our river flows both on the Weber and the Ogden, turned out to be mitigated, where we had some problems. I'm not going to say we did not, but we had a lot fewer issues than we could have had. And a lot of that has to go back to the engineers, road department, the work that was done since 2017. But it was also a great deal of the work, the time spent during the heavy flows at those rivers, working with our emergency services that's under the direction of Commissioner Bolos, working with our volunteers, the number of companies. I'm just going to say that we appreciate, Gary, you and your crew for putting in countless hours. I can't remember the number of times I'd get phone calls from Gary on Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, with particular issues that we had to deal with. And he was on the job. He was out working. It was almost a 24/7 situation. So, Gary, we appreciate you. I'd like you to come forward after. I'm going to give an opportunity for Commissioner Bolos and Commissioner Harvey to weigh in on this. Commissioner Bolos?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Commissioner Farrar said. Every storm that came by, I thought about you guys and what would be coming in the future. And then as the snow melted, just watching the hours you put in. And we were meeting weekly with Gary and others, and the concern on their faces was really concerning. And I just expressed my appreciation for not only your hard work, but the stress that you guys have been through. And, you know, we'll continue until we get through this, but we're on the downhill side, and that's nice to know that you can take a little bit of a break. So thank you so much to all of you.
Commissioner Harvey?
Admittedly, sometimes I think, having been here nearly 30 years now, I know pretty much a little bit about everything, but I'm absolutely amazed at the different things you folks do there. It's not just making sure that the plans who come for review or house plans come in for review, but even I learned something yesterday in our work session when Gary, you presented that pick and axe and shovel, and you moved a stream that was causing a significant amount of water and mudslide in an area up the Nordic area. diverted that water so that it would mitigate further damage in that area. It's amazing to me. I always knew, and I've known Chad for, well, since he was in diapers, and that wasn't last year, but he would always come out and adjust the gate at the Golden Spike Event Center on 4 Mile, and it just to watch you guys and the depth of knowledge and how you know little streams and waterways and ditches and tributaries and things like this that all around our county, just the little things and the little roads and all these things. And it doesn't stop there. I've watched with interest as you guys navigated the construction on the North Ogden Divide and the rocks that were coming down and everything that were falling down there and all the other little things that you do. And I must say too, I'm grateful for all of you. I know because of what the two of you have said, you have our backs. You have everybody's back in the county. You genuinely care about what you do and the people you serve. And I'd block for you guys any day. I appreciate you guys so much. And Gary, especially, you've made a believer out of me. You've risen to the occasion. I'm proud of you for the role that you've taken, and you admit when you're wrong, but you also continue to strive to do the right thing all the time. If there's something wrong, it's how refreshing it is to say, you know what, I could have maybe thought that a little differently, rather than trying to cover it up with some kind of BS story. And we, especially over the last several weeks, when somebody had called and say, this is how this is going, I said, no, you're wrong. Doesn't matter how strong. You're wrong, because I know my guys in that department are right. And boy, anytime you need, you can see I'm not a running back. I'll block for you guys anytime. So whatever you need. But thank you so much for what you do. It's just really appreciated.
Thank you, Commissioner. Gary, would you mind coming up? And I'd like you to just take a second, introduce the members of your team, and then we can give them all a round of applause and any words that you might have. Glad to have you come up just for a couple of minutes. And when he's coming up, I'd just say we received a lot of phone calls through this period of time. Most of them, good share, were not very nice. They weren't calling us to pat us on the back. They were calling us to tell us, what their issues were, what their problems. But I would say this, regardless of that, we always treated them with respect. We went out sometimes on private property to solve issues, and again, beyond the call of duty. And unfortunately, we're not going to hear from members of the public that appreciate that work, and that's why we want to do this today, because I know, even though we don't hear from them, there are members of the public out there that appreciate what your crew did to protect their property and their lives this year. Gary, go ahead.
Well, you've touched on the main point I would make. It wasn't so much the work of one individual as much as it was a team. Huge shout out to my team of guys, to the other departments of the county that we worked with, as well as the other agencies here in the state. We were very concerned about this winter as early as back in January. We started having conversations about this right around the first of the year, and started talking to different agencies about how we could work together and partner and have each other's backs and communicate. And really, that was the biggest key, was the communication between all the different agencies. So, yeah, it was a huge help from Mother Nature too, in the way the weather worked out.
Good point.
So perfect conditions to melt it, but it was an amazing winter. A lot of water came down, and it was greatly needed, and we're grateful for that. We really are. It was scary. Not gonna lie to you. We were very nervous, very scared, and watched things very closely. I think about a week ago, I finally stopped having dreams about water. So, but with that, let me go ahead and introduce my team to you guys. So, come on up, gentlemen. I'll start with, since he's on the end of the row there, Tucker Waite, who's in my department.
Come on up.
That's the kind of guys they are. They're not the
No,
most outspoken individuals, and this is not in their wheelhouse to stand up here. I speak for all of us. This is not what we enjoy. We're not about the accolades and whatnot. But
You speak for all of them? Because I was kind of hoping that each one of them would speak.
I would love to hear from each of them. With that, I'll turn the time over to Tucker.
Thanks. Yeah, Gary's been awesome. He kind of guided us through this thing and directed us. Gary had nailed it around the head. It was a team effort by everyone in the county, and definitely with support of you guys. I think that helped a ton. Just knowing that you guys were going to say, they're doing as best they can, and so just thank you for your support. It was awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Tucker. Next, we've got Ashley Toman.
Yeah, I'll just say the same thing. Thanks to you for all your support, and thanks to all the different departments and different entities we dealt with, and even so many residents that we met out there in the trenches and worked alongside. It couldn't have been done. I mean, we're just a handful, and you think of all that got accomplished thanks to the help of the public and different people that just wanted to help. That was amazing.
yeah, good.
Next is Josh Bryant.
Same as them, it's a team effort between the community, different departments, and you guys. We all just got it done, so thanks.
Thanks, Josh.
And last but certainly not least is Chad Meyerhofer. Chad was a huge wealth of information through all this. He's been front and center through multiple of these events. And so there were a lot of times I'd call Chad in the middle of the night and say, Chad, we got this problem, what do we do? And Chad always had great advice, so.
Well, just got out of my diaper, so. But I appreciate everything. I mean, it's definitely a team effort. We've had a great team. Just mimic everything that everybody said already. That's what's great about going last. The residents, the different departments, I mean, everybody jumping in and looking at situations to see what it's going to affect down the stream, and just the support by everybody has been tremendous. Been great. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it. Hey, wouldn't mind joining me in a round of applause, everybody, for this fantastic crew. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you being with us and for all you've done. All right, Commissioners, let's move to our consent items. Number 1 under G, request for approval of warrants 8170 through 8193, and number 476, 881 through 476, 975, in the amount of $425,810.28. 2, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $138,296.79. And for the summary of warrants and purchase orders, we'll go to Mr. Ricky Hatch. Ricky?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We issued 13 purchase orders this week for $138,000. Just over half of that amount, $73,000, was for IT to purchase software upgrades. 21%, or $28,000, is for the jail, and that is for technical support, ground soil studies for the jail expansion, some kitchen equipment and equipment maintenance. And then 9%, or $12,000, is for the Gold Spike Vet Center to purchase food supplies as well as some storage bins. As far as checks, we issued 119 warrants this week for $426,000. Just over a quarter of that amount, or $111,000, was spent on Pineview recreation sites redesign as well as the jail roof. And then we had 2 items at 10%, or about $42,000. The first, the jail, which went towards food, culinary supplies, utilities, and inmate clothing. And the other was for the library to purchase books and materials, utilities, and some software maintenance. And then 9%, or $39,000, was for IT, and that was for software upgrades and telecom and internet services.
Great, thank you. Is that all, Ricky?
Yes, sir.
Questions for Mr. Ricky Hatch or comments?
No.
All right, let's move on then to our consent items. Agenda item 4, request for approval of ACH payments to U.S. Bank in the amount of $160,992.49. 5, request for approval of minutes for the meetings held on May 30th, 2023 and June 1st, 2023. 6, request to declare parcel number 5-13131 as surplus real property. And 7, request to declare parcel 5-13530 as surplus real property. 8, request for approval of business licenses. That's our consent items, Commissioners, G1 through 8. Happy for comments, questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve consent items G1 through 8.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Consent items are approved as read. Let's go to action items. H1, request for approval of final reading of proposed ordinance, which is 2023-14, amending Title II, Chapter 11 of the Weber County Code, which adds a definition of overpayment and to clarify and simplify the refund process. This would be doing with property tax. Mr. John Bond is not here, but Mr. Cortland Erickson is reporting in his place. Cortland.
Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. Bond asked me to fill in for him since he was unavailable today. And this was before you, I believe it was last week, for the first reading of this ordinance that brings our county code in line with the state code and also the current process that the Treasurer's Office is following for when somebody pays more than was actually assessed and billed for property taxes. This simplifies the process for the Treasurer's Office to refund it so that the payment actually matches what was billed. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to address those. Otherwise, this is the final reading.
Questions for
before
Mr.
you.
Erickson? This was explained to us, I believe, last week by John Bond. It's really bringing us in code into consideration with state code. And clarifies. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Cortland. See no questions. I'd entertain a motion on 2023-14.
Motion to approve ordinance 2023-14 is presented in its final version by Mr. Erickson today.
Thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-14. Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Fair?
Aye. Thank you. Let's go to agenda item, action item H2, request for approval of final reading of an ordinance, which would be 2023-15, which established the fees for the Weber County weed spraying. We also heard this last week from Bart Cragen, but it looks like Sean Wilkinson will be filling in. So this is actually the second reading.
Correct. Yes, Commissioners, this is the second and final reading for the ordinance establishing fees for the county's weed spraying services. As you'll recall, we are increasing the fee per half acre from $15 to $20, and the time fee, so $30 per half hour, will remain the same, but we are now establishing that by ordinance.
Great. Yeah, this is very much needed because of the cost of chemicals, et cetera.
Correct.
With that, questions, comments? If not, I entertain a motion, Commissioners.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2023-15, final reading of the county's weed spraying services.
Second.
And we have a second. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-15. Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Fair?
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Sean. H3, action item, request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and the Utah State University Extension to provide a location for the 4-H to hold their livestock showmanship show. Mr. Marty Smith. Welcome, Marty.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just asking for you to approve the contract with the USU Extension Office and 4-H. Really, these two contracts we're presenting today, we just give a couple breaks to the kids in rent. We charge them hourly instead of the daily rate. As you know, 4-H is probably the premier organization that helps build our legacy, Western legacy with our youth. So that's what we're looking for today.
Got it. Questions? Commissioner Harvey, this is in your portfolio.
Yeah, it just came to mind after all these years. But Marty, if you'd let Naomi know to include the difference or this adjustment that we're making in their behalf, to to include that in the contribution that Weber County gives USU every year. Because this is a hard cost to the county, that'd be appreciated.
Okay.
With that, though, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, you have a motion.
I will make a motion, we approve that contract as between Weber County and the USU Extension for the 4-H livestock show.
Okay,
Second?
and we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks very much. Let's go to H4. Action item, request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and Utah State University Extension to provide a facility for the 4-H to hold their event show. Marty?
Yeah, the only difference here is that this is the eventing show, which is not held in the arena, but out in the cross-country course. So, same thing, daily or hourly rate instead of daily rate, so.
Got it.
And if they need tables and chairs also, we give them rent-free. They have to set them up, but we let them have that kind of stuff for free.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Harvey?
As long as it's represented the same with Naomi, I'd make a motion, we approve this state 4-H show.
Second?
And we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Marty.
you.
Appreciate you being with us. Let's go to H5, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the State of Utah for the Weber County Sheriff's Office to provide the State of Utah Administrative Office of the Courts with perimeter/building security and bailiff service in the Ogden Second District Courthouse and the Second District Juvenile Courthouse. Mr. Maragoni,
Good morning, Commissioners.
how are you doing? Welcome.
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good.
Here we are again.
Did we do this a year ago, or?
Yeah, we do this every year.
Okay, that's what I thought.
A positive note to this year is there was an increase to the contract from the state of Utah by approximately $68,000. So instead of the $738,000, we're going to collect $808,000 on this year. Still puts us in a deficit on the contract, but being that it's a state mandate to provide this service, we can only hope that the legislature continues to raise this price for us.
Another state mandate, okay. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, what is it with those people down
I don't
there?
know. We got to go talk to them. All right, anything else?
That's all I've got.
Nothing we can do.
Yeah. Commissioner Bolos, this is in your portfolio.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract by and between Weber County and the State of Utah for Weber County Sheriff's Office to provide the State of Utah Administrative Office of the Courts with perimeter building security and bailiff services.
Thank you. I'm going to place a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks.
Josh. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go to H6, ratification of the 2023 Weber County tax sale. Dakota Worth. Dakota, you gave us some information on this. Was it a couple weeks ago, or?
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time with you guys lately.
Yeah. Always happy to see you, so.
Well, likewise. And good morning to you all. The county recently completed our 2023 property tax sale on May 25th. And as you know, the tax sale is one of the least favorite parts of our job. The county never wants to sell anyone's property, but when it's required, it's only to recover the taxes, penalties, and interest owed on said property. Any bid over that amount goes to the original owner, or if we are unable to find the original property owner, to the State of Utah Department of Unclaimed Property. The tax sale auction is the result of 5 months of intensive efforts by more than just the clerk auditor's office. The recorder's surveyor's office, the treasurer's office, and the attorney's office have spent hours reviewing property ownership and descriptions, delinquent payments, balances, current laws and ordinances, and many other details that must be precise in order to facilitate the tax sale. We are grateful to everyone involved that's helped make this year's tax sale a seamless experience for the county and for those who participated in the auction. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to Roger Brunker, who is not with us today, and Lynn Taylor for lending me their expertise and assistance, as they were a tremendous help to me as I approached my first tax sale. We started this year with only 88 delinquent properties eligible for the sale, compared to last year's beginning number of 78 and 95 in 2021. We're happy to see a consistent low amount of properties eligible for the county's annual tax sale. Due to Weber County's commitment to its residents, there were only 6 properties that ended up at the auction, 3 of which are what we call abutting properties, which are small, insignificant portions of land. And and 2 of those 3 were bought by people who own properties adjacent or right next to them. The 3rd was not bid on by an abutting property owner, and the remaining 3 parcels were auctioned to the public, none of which were struck off to the county this year. Utah code does also allow a 10-day period after the tax sale for anyone with concerns about the sale to submit those to the commission before ratification. The commission then has the opportunity to address those concerns before making a final decision. I'd like to make you aware that as of today, the clerk's auditor's office has not been made aware of any objections to our tax sale within that 10-day time frame. And unless you have any questions or concerns, the ratification of the 23 tax sale is now in your hands.
Thank you, Dakota. Great presentation. Questions or comments, commissioners?
It's wonderful. I remember when there used to be pages of these years ago, and you guys have really sharpened it up. That's great.
Yeah, great job again, making sure this was clarified to members of the public and reaching out to those individuals that we talked about a couple weeks ago, giving them the opportunity for an extension based upon work with your tax review commission, and I think that was very appropriate for citizens. And congratulate you on the job well done, and everybody on your team and clerk auditor's office as well. So with that, commissioners, anything else? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to ratify the 2023 Weber County tax sale.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Dakota, again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, Commissioners, go to H7, request for approval of agreements by and between Weber County and the following individuals for services for the Ogden Musical Theater Kids Act Up event, June 12th through the 23rd. And we have with us our own Cassie Bybee. Cassie?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, this is exciting. This is Kids Act Up program. Just a little bit of history on the Kids Act Up program. The first year we did this, in 2017, Kids Act Up, we had 35 students. This year we have 110 students.
Wow.
So the program's growing. We've split them into 2 different groups. There's the Discover group that comes in, that's like 3rd through 6th graders, and then we go, well, the 3rd through 5th, and then we do 6th through 9th graders that will be in the Venture group, and they'll overlap for lunch. So now we're taking the program, instead of just being a morning program from 8:30 until noon, and then have lunch and leave, this will go from 8:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon, so full days now. So
Great.
it's growing.
Awesome, Cass.
And
Perfect.
with that, we also have scholarships available to the children as well. And we had 4 that applied for scholarships, and the board, the OMT board, approved those last night, those 4 scholarships for those children. So,
Perfect.
Great.
Okay. Anything else?
no,
All right, let me just read the individuals, and I'm assuming you've got to look at this list. That's a complete list of...
actually, there's the two music directors are not on here. Their contracts just got sent in, so you'll have the 2 music directors on next week. But that includes everyone. Yes.
Got it. Okay, so I'm going to read the names of the ones we're approving this morning, Commissioners. Andrew White, Bailey DeYoung, Ben Daniels, Bridger Macy, Carly McBride, Mark Daniels, Matthew Bolingbrook as a student assistant. And that's the ones we'll have 2 more next week.
Yes, so you'll have the 2 music directors next week.
Got it. Okay. Comments, questions? If not, Commissioner Harvey, this is in your portfolio.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve those names as you've read and as was presented by Ms. Bybee today.
Thank you.
Second?
And we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thanks, Cassie. Let's now go to action item H8, request for approval agreements by and between Weber County and the following individuals for the services for the 2023 Ogden Musical Theater Music Man production, different than the Kids Act Up. Ailey Anderson, Amy Turner, Darren Maxfield, Kenneth Plain, Marilyn Montgomery, Mitch Tarbox, Shelley Burkhart, customer. Okay.
Yeah, they're she's the costumer.
Costumer.
So, yes, so we're
Costumers.
getting ready. We've had all of our, we've had our auditions. We had over 70 people that auditioned for Music Man, and we were cast, and we start our rehearsals. So Kids Act Up starts in the morning on June 12th, and then it's also the first rehearsal on June 12th that evening for the Music Man cast later on. starting at 6:30. So we're excited about that. It opens, the Music Man opens July 28th and runs through August 12th. And I do want to invite you all, everyone that's listening and everyone that is in this room, on June 23rd, that's a Friday, you can take it on your lunch hour. That is when Kids Act Up performs at 12:30 on June 23rd. So walk across the street to the theater. You'll have an hour for your lunch, and you'll see a wonderful performance. This year for Kids Act Up, they're doing a Broadway review, so a lot of different musical songs will be performed by the children. So just wanted to, and that's free of charge, so anyone is welcome to join us over in the theater. And then Music Man, we're excited about this. The thing that's exciting about Music Man, not only is it a great show, but we're involving the high school kids in the community this year, and so we've reached out and we have some of the bands, the high school bands they will actually be just involved in the end of the show, and they'll do 76 trombones down the theater aisles and end the show in that way. So that'll be exciting, and to have the community involved in the high school bands. And we're reaching out to them, and we've given them the music and things, so we're working with having at least 3 to 4 different high school bands that are coming on board working with us as well.
Great deal.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay, anything else, Cassie?
Oh, that's it.
Well, you know, Commissioner, during the inauguration, we had a splendid group of singers sing the Star Spangled Banner. And it's been my experience that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I can't wait to hear some kind of Music Man selection by their mother. And so I just hope that's just one that's on my bucket list, is to hear something from Commissioner Bolo.
Yeah,
just letting you know.
Okay.
We're all looking forward to that.
All right, well, I'll
pretend
let
you didn't hear that.
I'll let you know when auditions are next
Yeah,
time.
please do. Please let me know.
I'll send you a personal invite.
Yeah.
With that, I'll make a motion
Okay.
that we approve the Music Man, and the cast is, well, you going to read that off, weren't you?
I read them.
He did.
He read.
Okay.
They're done.
Yeah, and this is the production team. This isn't the cast contracts. This is the production team.
So, as presented today.
As presented, okay. We have a
Second.
motion. And we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Cassie.
Okay, thank you.
Looking forward to those events.
Yeah, July 28th opening, just so you know, the Pharaoh Award, that is Alan and Jeannie Hall this year.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
They'll be recognized.
That's
for all
appropriate.
for all their help with the community and the arts in the community and things.
Good.
So
They've been
they will
involved
be-
in this for a while.
They have, and all the arts in the community. So we
Neat.
appreciate that.
Great.
Appreciate that. Okay, Commissioners, it's now time that we go into a public hearing, so I'd look for a motion to adjourn our public meeting and reconvene as a public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in a public hearing, thank you. So agenda item 2, under public hearings, would be public hearing for consideration on a request to vacate by ordinance a 5-foot wide public utility easement along the northern property line of Lot 28 at Wolf Creek, subdivision number 2. Mr. Steve Burton, I think, did you talk to us about this last week, or?
I brought it to you in work session probably a month ago.
Work session, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
We've got, a few months ago, the owner of this lot, named Mr. Robert Baxter, submitted a subdivision application. And let me, just to give you a little bit of background, to kind of zoom in on the lot here. The lot is 28 of the Wolf Creek subdivision, number 2, there off of Aspen Lane in Eden. You can see there was a house built in 1995. For some reason, it was built over top of the property line. Now, this little chunk of property is not part of a subdivision, and so Mr. Baxter is proposing to consolidate that and bring that into part of his subdivision lot, so that his house doesn't sit on top of that property line. As we've reviewed the plat, we noticed that there is a utility easement on that property line from when that subdivision was platted. And you can see that on my screen there. I've highlighted that 5-foot public utility easement. So before we can approve that subdivision plat and get Mr. Baxter on his way, we wanted to make sure that that easement was vacated so that a house isn't on top of it. We're not aware of any utilities in there. We have sent notice to our utility providers and have not heard back. And we've prepared an ordinance for you to consider. State code talks about the legislative body, yourselves, being able to vacate a public easement if you can find that good cause exists and that the public interest or any person will not be materially injured by the proposed vacation, injured or harmed. So our recommendation as staff is that you approve the ordinance vacating the easement. We've also gone over this with our engineering department, and they don't have any concerns with the vacation. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions, Commissioner? So we're just vacating that portion of the easement that showed on lot 28.
Yeah.
So it still exists on the other lots. They decide they want to make some change in the future. And then what did we decide? Because it looks like there's still a overlap on the property line adjoining that with the house taking in that sits on, yeah, go back to that. If I'm looking at that right, it looks like it sits on the other lot to the 4917 or 12, whatever it is. 4972.
Yeah, so what the owner has submitted a subdivision amendment to bring that lot, to bring this property that he owns into his lot 28, so that the home will no longer sit on that property line. The property line will just kind of follow this after that subdivision is recorded.
Okay. So he's bringing in additional property that would include where that house sits now.
Yeah.
Made an agreement with his neighbor.
Yeah, at some point he probably purchased the property from the neighbor.
Yeah, right.
But he owns it now.
Okay. All right, great. Okay. Questions? Seeing none, let's move on to agenda item 3 under public hearing, which would be a second reading for the consideration of county-initiated text amendment to the subdivision ordinance to exempt lot adjustments from preliminary and final subdivision review and to amend the fee schedule for the land use code application fees. Mr. Burton?
Yes, Commissioners, you probably remember this one from last week. This is second reading because there are fee amendments involved. Before you is an ordinance proposed by the Planning Department that helps address a concern that we've had for a few years related to what we call lot line adjustments for lots that are in subdivisions. I'll also let you know something I didn't tell you last week. Both planning commissions back in fall of last year held public hearings and forwarded a positive recommendation to you on these changes. So currently the county subdivision code, as it's written, it requires that if you are proposing to amend a lot line with an adjacent subdivision lot, or if you're proposing to remove a lot restriction that's no longer applicable, the code requires that you submit a subdivision plat amendment, which requires reviews from our planning department, engineering department, and our surveyor's office to verify compliance with all the county codes. That process usually takes a few months because the county has 30 days to initially review, and then the landowner has to address concerns, and then there's some back and forth. We also have to get signatures on the plat and schedule a public meeting. What we've proposed is a new section to the subdivision ordinance that exempts a lot line adjustment from the preliminary and final plat review. Because preliminary and final plat review were really intended for like new lots, if you're creating new lots and if you're creating a lot of lots. What this amendment does is it removes the requirement for a public meeting to adjust a common boundary with a lot in the same subdivision, or if an owner of a subdivision wants to remove a plat restriction that's no longer applicable. This would say if you're just making a simple change like that, we don't need to have the whole public meeting. Let's get you in and out a little bit faster than we normally would. The fees, the fee change that's associated with this, we've introduced a new fee for a lot adjustment review, and it's half of what a subdivision review would cost. At least it's half from the planning and engineering department. Our surveyor's office is still proposing to charge the same amount because they review all the technical information the same with any plat. Just moving on to some other fee changes that we talked about last week. There is, we are proposing a size fee change to our design review and conditional use permit applications. depending on how large a project is and how much area is involved, there is an additional size fee that we charge. Previously, our size fee, and currently, it's $30 in addition to the base fee, $30 plus 1,000 square feet of building area, and also $30 plus 1,000 square feet of site area being modified or being proposed. And what we found was this fee seemed a little high for projects like parking lots and warehouses that do cover large areas, but that don't necessarily take a long time to review. So our proposed change to the size fee for conditional use permits and design reviews is $30 per $100,000 of project valuation. And we feel it is more equitable to charge the size fee based on project valuation, because the more a project is valued at, the more time we'll likely spend reviewing it. So not increasing fees, but changing them a little bit, and also adding a new fee for lot adjustments. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions for Mr. Burton? Two good changes. Again, we've heard these before. Makes a lot of sense, so that with the lot line adjustments, it's a lot different than a subdivision approval. No reason to do that. Let's let people get in and get done with their business, and not take 3 months or 4 months on a simple lot line adjustment. So makes sense. All right, commissioners, no questions. Let's go to action item on the hearing, which would be public hearing for consideration on a request to vacate by ordinance the public utility easement within Lot 29 of the Silver Bell Estates Number 1. Ms. Tammy Adelot, you're on.
Thank you, commissioners. This lot is located in a subdivision that was recorded back in 1961. And for whatever reason, every single lot in this subdivision has got a 10-foot wide public utility easement that runs right smack down the middle of it. So the owner, who has yet to build on this lot, is seeking to vacate this just to allow him to be able to build a residence in a location where he would like to do that. So the request, and you can see the location of this on the second page of the ordinance located in your staff report. You'll see this public utility easement runs right through all of them. There are homes on many of these. In fact, there are homes on either side of this, but we've had no objections from utility companies or any county departments. We do recommend approval of this, of course, subject to all county review agency requirements. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions, commissioners? That amazes me that there was utilities, but right in the center of those lots.
And people built homes. They managed to get their homes on there. I think the applicant's looking to set his home a little bit further back so he's not pushed right up against the right-of-way.
Huh, interesting. Okay, anything else?
That's it.
I think we understand it very well. All right, thanks, Tammy. Now let's go to public comments on any of the issues we're talking about this morning under public hearings, 2 through 4. Stacy, anyone online? Okay, nobody in the chamber coming forward. I would look for a motion to adjourn our public hearing and reconvene as a public meeting, commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. We're now back to a public hearing. Let's go to under action on public hearings 7, and we deal with number 12, request for approval of a request to vacate by ordinance 2023-16 a 5-foot wide public utility easement along the northern property line of Lot 28 of the Wolf Creek Subdivision Number 2 that we just heard from Mr. Steve Burton. Questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance 2023-16.
Second.
And a second. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-16. Commissioner Bolos.
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey.
Aye.
Chair Floor.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Let's go now to 13 under 7, request for approval of a second reading of ordinance, which would be 2023-17, a county-initiated text amendment to the subdivisions ordinance to exempt lot adjustments from preliminary and final subdivision review and to amend the fee schedule for the land use coal application fees, as also presented by Mr. Steve Burton this morning.
Motion to approve as presented, 2023-17.
We have a motion.
A second, with a comment, if I may.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to thank Steve and really the whole planning department. When I read the county-initiated part of this, it just makes me appreciative of your proactive approach to finding ways that we can be more efficient and fair. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, excellent point. That's, again, customer service, trying to make things unlike some governments and make it easy, still within the rules the government sets. So thank you. Roll call vote. Greg?
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-17. Commissioner Bolos.
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey.
Aye.
Sheriff Rohr.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Let's go now to 714, request for approval of request to vacate by ordinance 2023-18 the public utility easement within Lot 29 of the Silver Bell Estates. Number 1 is presented by Ms. Tammy Adelot this morning. Questions, comments? If not, a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2023-18.
Second?
And a second. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-18. Commissioner Bolos.
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey.
Aye.
Sheriff Rohr.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, that takes us through the end of our agenda, brings us to Commissioner comments. Comments would be appropriate at this time.
Nothing from me.
Commissioner Bolos? No. Commissioner Harvey?
Said enough.
Wow, okay. Well, I'm done too. All right, last motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor say aye, non-debatable.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Aye.
carries.
Good.
Now adjourned. Adjourned, but